In a world that often feels chaotic, filled with unpredictable events and overwhelming distractions, many people search for stability, clarity, and a path to personal growth. But what if the key to navigating life's challenges and improving yourself wasn't a modern strategy or a trendy self-help method, but instead ancient wisdom passed down through the centuries? That's where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism, a philosophy founded in ancient Greece and developed by thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, offers profound practical guidance for living a better life. It's not about withdrawing from the world or suppressing emotions. It's about mastering your mind, focusing on what you can control, and aligning your actions with timeless virtues. The Stoics teach us that true power lies not in changing external circumstances, but in mastering our internal responses. In this video, we'll walk through 20 Stoic principles that you can apply to improve your life continuously. These aren't abstract theories, they're actionable practices that, when embraced, can help you build resilience, enhance your decision-making, and find peace amid life's turbulence. If you've ever wondered how to take control of your thoughts, overcome setbacks, and live with greater purpose, you're in the right place. Whether you're new to Stoicism or already familiar with its teachings, this journey is designed to inspire reflection, spark change, and empower you to grow. Let's explore how ancient wisdom can transform your modern life. 1. The power of perception. Stoicism begins with a fundamental truth. The events of life are neutral. They carry no inherent meaning, emotion, or judgment. Instead, it is our perception, our thoughts and interpretations that determine whether these events feel good or bad, positive or negative. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." This simple yet profound idea forms the foundation of Stoic thought and offers a powerful tool for self-improvement. Imagine receiving a piece of unexpected news, perhaps a financial loss or a difficult conversation with a friend. The event itself is a fact, it just is. But how you react to it shapes everything. You might respond with panic, anger, or sadness, allowing the situation to control your emotions. Alternatively, you can pause and take a Stoic approach, asking, is this event as catastrophic as my mind is making it out to be? Is my suffering caused by the event itself or by the way I'm choosing to view it? Take a moment to consider this idea in action. Picture two people in the same situation. Both lose their jobs unexpectedly. The first person spirals into despair, believing that this loss defines their worth. Their perception turns a temporary setback into a permanent defeat. The second person, however, reframes the experience. They accept the job loss as an external event beyond their full control and choose to see it as an opportunity for growth, perhaps even as a push toward a new career path they hadn't previously considered. The event remains the same, but the perceptions, and therefore the outcomes, are completely different. This isn't about ignoring reality or sugarcoating pain. Stoicism doesn't ask us to pretend that hardships aren't challenging or that suffering isn't real. Instead, it teaches us to recognize the gap between events and our reactions. By stepping into that gap, we regain control over how we respond. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and a practitioner of Stoicism, wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This line distills the core of Stoic empowerment. The events of the world, traffic jams, missed opportunities, unfair criticism, are largely outside our influence. But how we interpret and respond to these events, that is entirely within our power. Think about the last time you felt stressed or frustrated. Perhaps it was due to a delay, a criticism, or an unexpected obstacle. Now ask yourself, was your emotional turmoil caused directly by the event, or was it the result of your interpretation of that event? Did you view it as an attack on your self-worth, as a personal injustice? Often, our suffering stems not from external circumstances, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those circumstances. The Stoic practice of reframing perception encourages us to rewrite these stories. When faced with difficulty, ask yourself, what am I choosing to believe about this event? Is my reaction driven by reason, or is it clouded by emotion? How would a wise and calm person view this situation? For example, imagine being criticized at work. Your initial reaction might be defensiveness or embarrassment. But through the Stoic lens, criticism is not inherently harmful. It is simply feedback, information that may help you grow. Instead of focusing on the perceived attack, you can choose to see the opportunity for learning and improvement. This mental shift transforms criticism from a source of pain into a tool for personal development. The Stoics also teach us that perception is deeply connected to gratitude. Even in challenging times, we have the power to focus on what remains good and valuable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." Practicing gratitude reshapes perception. Instead of fixating on what's lacking, we see the abundance already present in our lives. Another tool is the practice of objectivity. When emotions flare, try to describe the situation in plain, factual terms. Remove the emotional narrative and focus solely on what is true. Instead of saying, "I failed miserably and embarrassed myself," say, "I made an error in my presentation." By stripping away judgmental language, you neutralize the situation and open yourself to clearer thinking. The power of perception is not a one-time revelation, but an ongoing practice. Every day, life presents moments where you can choose how to interpret your experiences. Start small. When you're stuck in traffic, recognize that your frustration comes from your desire for things to be different, not from the traffic itself. When a plan falls apart, remind yourself that flexibility and adaptation are strengths. Each time you reframe a situation, you strengthen your ability to see clearly and respond wisely. This doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions. Stoicism isn't about emotional suppression. It's about awareness and choice. By mastering perception, you create a foundation for resilience, peace, and constant growth. Focus on what you can control. Stoic philosophy reveals a simple but powerful truth. Much of what happens in life is beyond our control. Events unfold according to forces we cannot predict. People behave according to their own judgments and desires, and external outcomes often defy our expectations. Yet within this uncertainty lies a profound source of strength, choosing where to place our focus. The Stoics teach us that the key to a flourishing life is understanding what we can influence and releasing our grip on what we cannot. The first step in applying this principle is to recognize the two distinct spheres of existence, things within our control and things outside of it. The Stoics were precise in defining these categories. What is within your control? Your thoughts, beliefs, decisions, actions, and how you choose to respond to situations. These are entirely yours to command. Everything else, opinions of others, the weather, the economy, and even the ultimate outcome of your efforts, lies beyond your influence. By clearly defining this boundary, we reclaim mental clarity and emotional strength. Imagine a student preparing for an important exam. The result of the test is uncertain. The Stoic approach would urge the student to focus on what they can control, studying effectively, managing their time, and adopting a positive mindset. Worrying about whether the exam will be difficult or how others will perform adds unnecessary stress. Instead, dedicating full effort to preparation aligns action with purpose and eliminates wasted energy. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His wisdom reminds us that true power lies not in bending the external world to our will, but in mastering our internal response. This realization is liberating. It allows us to engage fully with life without being enslaved by its uncertainties. When we mistakenly focus on what we cannot control, we experience frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. Take, for example, a job interview. You cannot control the interviewer's mood, the questions asked, or the decision-making process. What you can control is how you prepare, your punctuality, your demeanor, and the clarity of your answers. Directing energy toward preparation builds confidence and competence, while worrying about the outcome only depletes your focus. This principle also applies to personal relationships. We often feel frustrated when others fail to meet our expectations. However, Stoicism teaches that we cannot control another person's behavior, only how we interpret and respond to it. Instead of trying to change someone, we can communicate openly, set boundaries, and choose how much emotional investment to offer. Epictetus reminds us, some things are up to us, and some things are not. Accepting this distinction is an act of wisdom and emotional maturity. To practice focusing on what you can control, start by observing your thoughts when faced with difficulty. Ask yourself, am I worrying about something within my power to change, or am I clinging to what lies outside of it? Writing down your concerns and dividing them into two columns, controllable and uncontrollable, can bring clarity. This simple exercise reorients your mind and frees it from unnecessary burdens. Another Stoic practice that strengthens this mindset is negative visualization. Imagine a future scenario where things do not go your way. Visualizing failure or adversity helps you prepare mentally for outcomes beyond your control, reducing fear and building resilience. The goal isn't pessimism, but realistic preparation. Knowing that challenges may come, you can decide in advance how you will respond with calm and deliberate action. Focusing on what you can control also cultivates patience and acceptance. Consider a delayed flight. You cannot make the plane arrive sooner, but you can choose how to spend the time, reading, working, or simply relaxing without agitation. This approach transforms inconvenience into an opportunity. Lastly, living by this principle fosters serenity and purpose. By releasing what you cannot control, you create mental space to concentrate fully on meaningful actions. In a world filled with noise and distractions, this clarity of purpose is a competitive advantage. The Stoic mindset doesn't mean passivity. It means directing your full energy into the sphere where your efforts matter most. Every day presents choices. You can resist reality and suffer the consequences of misplaced focus, or you can align with the Stoic path, choosing to act with wisdom, courage, and self-mastery. Ultimately, the question is simple: where will you place your power? 3. Practice gratitude daily. Gratitude is one of the most transformative and grounding practices in Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, captured its essence perfectly when he wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave them if they were not yours." This powerful reflection reminds us of a simple truth. It's far too easy to take what we have for granted while endlessly pursuing more. A life spent in constant desire leaves little room for peace, while gratitude shifts our focus to the abundance already present in our lives. Start your practice of gratitude by reflecting on your blessings every day. This doesn't require grandiose accomplishments or major life changes. Gratitude thrives in the ordinary. Think about the small pleasures that bring comfort and joy: clean water, a nourishing meal, or even a moment of quiet reflection. Perhaps it's the loyalty of a close friend, or the simple fact that you woke up this morning with the opportunity to try again. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to find joy in these simple, everyday moments and to savor them fully. A powerful way to build this habit is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Be as specific as possible. Describe the warmth of sunlight filtering through your window, the laughter shared with a loved one, or the satisfaction of completing a small task. By naming these experiences, you train your mind to seek out the positive. This deliberate practice rewires your thinking from scarcity, focusing on what you lack, to abundance, where contentment flourishes. When life feels overwhelming, gratitude becomes even more important. It's a compass that helps you find balance during storms. The Stoics recognize that gratitude isn't reserved for moments of ease. It's most valuable in times of adversity. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, reminded us that every difficulty carries within it a hidden opportunity. The next time you face a setback, pause and ask, what lesson is this teaching me? How will I be stronger or wiser because of this experience? Challenges, when met with a grateful heart, can be powerful teachers. Gratitude transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. In addition to personal reflection, Stoic gratitude encourages us to look outward and express appreciation for others. A sincere thank you can strengthen bonds and create a ripple effect of positivity. Acknowledge those who have supported, inspired, or simply been kind to you. Seneca taught that gratitude, like a flame, should be kept alive through consistent practice. It doesn't just benefit the recipient, it enriches your own heart by fostering humility and connection. Lastly, remember that gratitude is a practice, not a destination. There will be days when gratitude feels elusive. On those days, it's even more critical to return to your reflections, however small they might be. Gratitude is a lens. It doesn't ignore life's difficulties, but reframes them. It helps you see beauty amid hardship and meaning where others see only loss. By cultivating gratitude, you're not just improving your mindset, you're shaping a life rooted in appreciation, resilience, and purpose. 4. Accept adversity as a teacher. Narrator Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." For the Stoics, adversity wasn't something to be feared or avoided, but a powerful tool for personal growth. In fact, they believed that the most significant opportunities for growth often arise from the most challenging experiences. When we encounter setbacks, disappointment, or hardship, our first instinct may be to react with frustration or despair. It's natural to want to avoid discomfort, but Stoicism teaches us to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing adversity as something purely negative, view it as an essential part of the process of becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Adversity tests our character. It reveals what we are truly made of, much like how a storm tests the strength of a tree. While smooth seas never made a skilled sailor, it's the rough waters that push us to become better versions of ourselves. In this light, adversity becomes a teacher. It teaches us lessons about patience, perseverance, and the importance of keeping our minds steady in the face of hardship. When facing challenges, instead of focusing solely on the pain or frustration, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? This simple shift in mindset turns obstacles into learning opportunities. Every difficulty contains within it the potential for growth. Whether it's a failure at work, a personal loss, or an unexpected setback, each experience has something to teach you. The Stoics would urge you to extract that lesson and apply it to future challenges. Additionally, the Stoic concept of amor fati, or love of fate, plays a significant role here. Rather than resisting what life throws at you, embrace it. Accepting adversity as part of the grand flow of life, rather than fighting it, helps you maintain peace and clarity, no matter the external circumstances. When we resist adversity, we only increase our suffering. But when we accept it, we cultivate inner strength and understanding. Seneca again reminds us, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. This idea mirrors the process of refining precious metals. Just as gold is purified by fire, so too are we refined through life's challenges. It's through hardship that we develop virtues like courage, fortitude, and wisdom, qualities that can't be fully realized in times of ease. Moreover, adversity encourages us to reevaluate our expectations. Often, we think we are entitled to a life free of hardship, but the Stoics believe that life's challenges are inevitable. They are part of the natural order. In fact, the Stoic concept of prohairesis, our ability to control our responses and attitudes, reminds us that while we can't control the events of our lives, we can control how we react to them. When adversity strikes, you have the power to choose your response. Will you allow it to define you negatively, or will you see it as an opportunity to learn and grow? So, the next time you face a difficult situation, pause and reflect. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Every challenge holds a lesson that can make you wiser, more resilient, and more capable of handling whatever comes next. When you start to view adversity as a teacher, you'll find yourself becoming more adaptable, calm, and focused, even in the face of life's toughest trials. 5. Master emotional resilience. The Stoics place a strong emphasis on emotional resilience. They believe that while we can't always control the events that happen in our lives, we have complete control over how we respond to them. In a world full of distractions, challenges, and emotional turmoil, the ability to remain calm and clear-headed is an invaluable skill. One of the central teachings of Stoicism is that emotions like anger, fear, sadness, and frustration arise from our judgments about the events around us, not the events themselves. It's not what happens to us, but how we choose to perceive and react to what happens that dictates our emotional state. The Stoics didn't argue that emotions themselves are wrong. They simply saw them as signals or responses to external stimuli that should be examined before they control us. The idea is not to suppress emotions, but to gain mastery over them. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and emperor, often reflected on this concept. In his meditations, he frequently wrote about the importance of controlling one's mind. For instance, when he faced personal or professional challenges, he would remind himself that it is not the event itself that causes distress, but his own reaction to it. This recognition allowed him to step back from knee-jerk emotional reactions and respond more rationally and thoughtfully. The first step in mastering emotional resilience is recognizing that emotions are natural, but they don't have to dictate our actions. When a strong emotion arises, whether it's anger, frustration, or anxiety, take a step back and pause before reacting. This moment of pause is critical in breaking the automatic response cycle. It's a chance to check in with yourself. Is this emotion truly serving me, or is it clouding my judgment? The key is to make space between the event and your reaction. This is where emotional resilience begins, not in suppressing or ignoring the emotion, but in choosing how to act in response to it. In moments of intense emotion, the Stoics encouraged the practice of negative visualization, a technique in which you intentionally imagine potential obstacles or negative outcomes. By visualizing these difficult situations beforehand, you mentally prepare yourself for adversity, reducing the emotional impact when something goes wrong. This doesn't mean anticipating every worst-case scenario, but rather recognizing that hardships are a natural part of life, and by accepting them, we reduce their power over us. When we embrace the possibility of hardship, we become less attached to comfort, and we begin to understand that setbacks are often opportunities for growth. Another Stoic tool for emotional resilience is journaling. Many Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, used journaling as a way to process emotions and thoughts. Journaling provides an outlet for expressing and analyzing your feelings without letting them take control. It allows you to step outside of the moment, reflect on your emotional responses, and develop a deeper understanding of yourself. By writing down our thoughts and emotions, we can often see the irrationality behind them. This process of reflection enables us to gain clarity and take more measured actions, rather than reacting impulsively. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, wrote extensively about anger and its destructive consequences. He noted that anger arises when we feel wronged or disrespected. However, he argued that allowing anger to take hold of us only harms our own well-being. Seneca famously said that anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. Instead, he advised practicing forgiveness, not for the sake of the person who wronged us, but for our own peace of mind. In other words, mastering emotional resilience means letting go of grudges and not allowing negative emotions to linger. When we hold on to anger, resentment, or grudges, we tie ourselves to that negative energy, which in turn makes us less free to grow. In addition to letting go of destructive emotions, the Stoics also emphasized the importance of cultivating virtue as a source of inner strength. By committing to live according to the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we build a strong moral foundation that guides our emotional responses. For example, courage allows us to face fear with calm determination, while wisdom helps us to see that emotional outbursts are often rooted in irrational beliefs. Temperance, or self-control, helps us avoid the extremes of excessive emotion, while justice reminds us to act fairly and with reason, even when emotions would otherwise cloud our judgment. Emotional resilience is also deeply tied to our understanding of impermanence. Stoicism teaches that all things, including our emotions, are temporary. No feeling, whether positive or negative, lasts forever. Understanding this transience allows us to step back from emotions and avoid becoming attached to them. When we're in the throes of anger or sadness, remembering that these feelings are fleeting can help us take a more objective view and regain control. Another aspect of emotional resilience is acceptance. The Stoics emphasized accepting what we cannot change, a key component of their philosophy. When we accept that certain things are out of our control, we free ourselves from frustration and bitterness. If we lose our job, experience a breakup, or face a difficult situation, it's natural to feel sadness or disappointment. But the Stoics urge us to acknowledge these feelings without letting them rule us. Instead of focusing on what's lost, We shift our energy toward how we can respond and what we can control moving forward. This shift in focus is crucial for maintaining emotional balance. Finally, emotional resilience is not about suppressing or ignoring emotions. It's about learning how to manage and navigate them. The Stoics recognize that life is filled with both pleasure and pain, and neither extreme should sway us from our path of virtue. Through practice and mindfulness, we can train ourselves to remain steady in the face of life's ups and downs. By doing so, we avoid reacting impulsively and instead make intentional choices that align with our values. This emotional steadiness allows us to face challenges with courage, to approach relationships with empathy, and to handle setbacks with grace. Ultimately, mastering emotional resilience is a lifelong journey. It requires consistent effort to develop awareness of our emotions, cultivate mindfulness, and respond to life's challenges with calm and reason. The Stoic path encourages us to view life as a series of opportunities to build strength and character. When we practice this discipline, we strengthen our capacity to handle adversity and grow stronger with each passing day. Emotional resilience becomes a skill that not only enhances our ability to cope with hardship, but also enriches our capacity to live a purposeful and fulfilling life. 6. Live according to virtue. For Stoics, living according to virtue is not just an abstract idea, it's the highest and most noble form of living. Virtue isn't merely about good behavior or moral righteousness, it's about aligning your life with your core principles and making choices that reflect the highest human qualities. The Stoics understood that virtue leads to true happiness and fulfillment, as it's only through virtue that we can find peace and tranquility amidst the chaos of life. The four cardinal virtues that Stoicism is built upon are wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues are not just isolated traits, but interconnected ways of being that inform every aspect of our lives. Let's break them down further. Wisdom is the foundation of all virtues. It's the ability to understand the world as it truly is, free from the distortions of emotion, bias, and desire. Wisdom enables us to make decisions that reflect reason and rationality rather than impulsive reactions. It involves the pursuit of knowledge, learning, and understanding, not for the sake of mere information, but for the purpose of applying that knowledge in ways that improve our lives and the lives of others. A wise person seeks truth and clarity, constantly questioning assumptions and expanding their understanding of the world. To live with wisdom means to approach life with an open mind, one that is always questioning and reflecting. It is about cultivating an awareness of the bigger picture, recognizing that every action has consequences and that true fulfillment comes not from temporary pleasure, but from virtuous living. Wisdom allows us to recognize what is truly important and to make decisions that align with our highest values. It teaches us to see things from multiple perspectives and to act in ways that are thoughtful, responsible, and grounded in reason. Courage is the virtue that allows us to act in accordance with our principles, even in the face of fear, adversity, or uncertainty. The Stoics did not view courage merely as physical bravery, but as moral courage, the strength to do what is right, even when it is difficult or unpopular. Courage means standing firm in your beliefs, even when the world around you challenges or undermines them. Life presents us with countless challenges: fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. Courage is the inner strength to face these fears, not by ignoring them, but by embracing them and acting in spite of them. It's the ability to persist in the pursuit of what is good, despite the obstacles that may arise along the way. Courage also means being honest with ourselves and others, standing up for justice, and having the fortitude to face suffering or loss with grace. Justice is the virtue that guides our relationships with others and our responsibility to contribute to the well-being of the community. In Stoicism, justice isn't just about following laws or adhering to social norms. It's about living harmoniously with others and acting with fairness, respect, and integrity. Justice asks us to see other people not as obstacles or competitors, but as fellow human beings with their own rights, needs, and dignity. To live justly is to take responsibility for our actions and to recognize our interconnectedness with others. The Stoics believed that we all have a role to play in the greater good, and that our actions should reflect a sense of duty to the common welfare. Justice means treating others with kindness, empathy, and fairness, seeking to contribute to the happiness and flourishing of those around us. It's about striving for harmony and mutual respect in all our interactions, and being mindful of the impact our actions have on others and the world at large. Temperance is the virtue of moderation and self-control. In a world full of distractions, indulgences, and temptations, temperance helps us maintain balance and avoid excess. The Stoics viewed temperance as an essential part of living a virtuous life, as it prevents us from being enslaved by our desires or emotions. It is the ability to control our impulses and act with self-restraint, choosing what is truly beneficial over what is merely pleasurable or immediate. Temperance teaches us to recognize that not all desires are worth pursuing, and that moderation is key to living a balanced and fulfilling life. Whether it's avoiding overconsumption of food or material possessions, controlling our emotional responses, or resisting the urge to seek validation from external sources, temperance helps us cultivate inner peace and stability. It is about recognizing that true happiness doesn't come from external indulgence, but from the ability to live in harmony with our needs, desires, and higher purpose. These four virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, are not just ideals to strive for. They are practical tools that we can use to navigate life's challenges and make decisions that reflect our deepest values. Each virtue is interconnected and mutually reinforcing, so living in accordance with all of them creates a life that is balanced, purposeful, and resilient in the face of adversity. To live according to virtue means that every action you take, every decision you make, should be guided by these principles. When faced with a choice, ask yourself, am I acting with wisdom? Am I demonstrating courage in this moment? Is this action just, not only for me but for others as well? Am I exercising temperance and avoiding excess? The Stoics believe that living virtuously doesn't mean being perfect. It means striving every day to embody these principles. It's a lifelong pursuit of growth and self-improvement, where you consistently try to align your actions with your values. By doing so, you become not just a better person, but a person who contributes to the betterment of the world around you. By integrating the cardinal virtues into your daily life, you cultivate a mindset of continuous growth. Stoicism teaches that it is not external events or circumstances that define your happiness, but your internal response to them. When you act in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you create a foundation of stability and peace that no external hardship can shake. Living according to virtue is the Stoic way of life, a commitment to always striving to be the best version of yourself, regardless of the challenges you face. It's not about achieving perfection, but about making incremental progress in becoming the person you are meant to be, one virtuous action at a time. 7. Reflect daily on your actions. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for personal growth is daily reflection. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of looking back on your day with an open and honest mind. At the end of each day, take a moment to pause and review your actions, thoughts, and emotions. The act of reflection is not about passing judgment on yourself, but rather about gaining clarity and insight into your behavior. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? What could I have done better? This practice, known as self-examination or self-reflection, is essential for continual improvement and becoming a better version of yourself. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for growth because it allows you to step outside of your daily experiences and gain a higher perspective on them. It's a process of stepping back, analyzing your actions, and asking critical questions about your behavior and decisions. The Stoics understood that human beings are naturally prone to repeating the same patterns, both positive and negative, unless they take the time to observe and correct them. By reflecting, you can break those patterns and make intentional, thoughtful choices moving forward. Reflecting on your day doesn't mean obsessing over your failures or getting bogged down by self-criticism. Instead, it's about gaining understanding and finding actionable lessons in both your successes and mistakes. The Stoics believe that every experience, whether it's a triumph or a setback, is an opportunity to learn and grow. By reflecting, you unlock these lessons and ensure that you don't repeat the same mistakes. This kind of reflection builds your wisdom over time, allowing you to recognize your strengths and weaknesses with clarity. A great way to implement daily reflection is by keeping a journal, just as Marcus Aurelius did. Journaling provides a concrete space to explore your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and it gives you something to look back on for future insight. In your journal, document the key moments of your day, both the positive and the negative, and allow yourself to freely express what went through your mind. For example, you might ask yourself questions such as, what choices did I make today that reflected my values? Was I patient and calm in difficult situations, or did I react impulsively? How did I treat others today? Did I act with kindness and justice, or did I act out of selfishness? What challenges did I face, and how did I manage them? Did I maintain focus on the present moment, or did I let distractions take over? By examining these questions, you begin to uncover the areas where you excel and the parts of your life that need more attention. For example, you may find that you handled a stressful work situation with calm and patience, which shows growth in your emotional resilience. Alternatively, you might notice that you were quick to react in anger during a disagreement, which reveals an area where you can improve in controlling your emotions. One important aspect of Stoic reflection is to avoid becoming overly critical of yourself. Stoicism isn't about perfection, it's about progress. So when you recognize a mistake or shortcoming, don't focus solely on the failure itself. Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? Stoics believe that failure is an inevitable part of life, and it's how you respond to it that defines you. Embrace failure as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. If you lost your temper during a stressful moment, for example, reflect on what triggered that reaction and how you can respond more calmly next time. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice your Stoic virtues and to reinforce the principles that lead to personal growth. As you reflect, you can also use the wisdom of the Stoic philosophers as a guide. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, frequently reminded himself to live according to reason and virtue and to focus on his role as part of a greater whole. Reflecting on his meditations can help you stay grounded in your own journey toward improvement. Ask yourself, did I act with wisdom today? Did I demonstrate courage, justice, and temperance in my interactions and decisions? These virtues should be your touchstone in guiding your reflection and in ensuring that your actions align with your higher ideals. This process of reflection doesn't need to be lengthy or time-consuming, but it should be consistent. It can take as little as 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each day. The key is regularity and honesty. As you make reflection a habit, you'll begin to notice patterns and areas of strength in your behavior, but also areas where you still have room to grow. You'll begin to see the small adjustments you need to make and feel empowered to take action. Over time, this daily habit of self-reflection will lead to greater self-awareness. You'll gain deeper insights into the root causes of your actions and thoughts, and you'll learn how to handle life's challenges with greater clarity and poise. Reflecting daily makes you more intentional in your choices and actions, and helps you steer your life toward greater wisdom, emotional resilience, and virtue. Reflecting on your actions at the end of each day is a crucial tool in your Stoic journey. It allows you to consistently improve, hold yourself accountable, and stay focused on your personal growth. Through this practice, you'll realize that personal development isn't about making huge leaps overnight, but about making small, consistent improvements every day. 8. Embrace minimalism. Stoics valued simplicity, recognizing that happiness and contentment don't stem from accumulating material possessions, but from having fewer desires. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This perspective on minimalism, living with only what you truly need, can have profound benefits on both your mental and emotional well-being. In a modern world constantly telling us to acquire more, whether it's more clothes, gadgets, or social validation, it can be difficult to embrace the principle of minimalism. Marketing, advertisements, and societal norms urge us to keep accumulating, reinforcing the idea that more possessions equal more happiness. Yet, the Stoic approach teaches us that true happiness comes not from how much we own, but from how little we truly need. Stoic minimalism isn't just about decluttering your home or reducing your material possessions. It's about cultivating a mindset that values quality over quantity, depth over surface, and meaning over excess. The key here is not simply to purge what you don't need, but to examine your life and understand the root of your desires. The Stoic view encourages you to ask, do I really need this? Will this possession enhance my life or just create distraction? The more we accumulate, the more we risk becoming slaves to our possessions, and the more our attention and energy are scattered. The first step toward embracing minimalism is to be conscious of your desires and habits. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to slip into the cycle of always wanting more. However, Stoicism teaches that many of our desires are based on fleeting emotions or societal pressures rather than true, lasting fulfillment. For instance, consider how often we acquire things because they are in style or because others have them. The Stoic path encourages you to pause and reflect. Ask yourself if these things contribute to your well-being or if they simply add unnecessary noise to your life. By simplifying your life, you create space to focus on what truly matters: your personal growth, your relationships, and your purpose. When you shift your focus away from external acquisitions and toward cultivating inner virtues, you begin to realize that what you have is more than enough. In fact, the Stoic belief is that happiness doesn't come from external things at all, but from our internal state of mind, from how we choose to view the world and respond to it. Minimalism, in a Stoic sense, extends beyond material possessions. It also applies to your time, energy, and relationships. The Stoics believed in living intentionally and not allowing distractions to take over. This means being selective about how you spend your time. Instead of filling your day with numerous tasks or obligations, focus on what truly serves your goals and values. A minimalist approach to time management allows you to make better decisions about where you invest your attention, ensuring that you're dedicating yourself to meaningful pursuits. In terms of relationships, the Stoic approach to minimalism suggests that we should be intentional about the people we surround ourselves with. Just as with material possessions, we often collect relationships out of habit, convenience, or societal expectation. Stoicism urges us to reflect on the quality of the relationships in our lives. Do these people uplift us? Do they challenge us to become better versions of ourselves? Or do they drain our energy and distract us from our growth? The Stoic ideal is to choose companions who align with your values and encourage you to grow in wisdom, virtue, and resilience. Instead of having many superficial connections, seek out a few meaningful relationships that enrich your life. In practice, minimalism can lead to a more focused, balanced, and fulfilling life. The less you own, the less you are owned by your possessions. The less you do, the more space you create for the activities that truly matter. By decluttering your physical and mental spaces, you open yourself up to greater clarity and peace of mind. The more you remove unnecessary distractions, the more you make room for personal growth and self-reflection. As you simplify your life, you will likely find that the things you once thought were important fade in comparison to the virtues and values that define who you are. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to consume and accumulate, embracing Stoic minimalism provides a powerful antidote. By focusing on what is essential and letting go of what is unnecessary, you align yourself with a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. The Stoic way isn't about deprivation. It's about finding richness in simplicity and cultivating a life of peace and contentment that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Through minimalism, we can begin to understand that true wealth not in what we have, but in what we choose to live without. We learn to appreciate the richness of the present moment, to find value in our relationships, and to pursue growth through our virtues and wisdom, not through our possessions. This is the essence of Stoic minimalism, a life lived with intention, free from the distractions of excess. 9. Anticipate challenges. One of the most transformative practices from Stoic philosophy is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice is all about mentally preparing for adversity before it strikes. The Stoics believed that by visualizing the potential difficulties and challenges in our lives, we can build emotional resilience and clarity when faced with them in reality. It's not about expecting the worst or assuming that bad things will happen, but rather about accepting the uncertainty of life and preparing ourselves mentally and emotionally to deal with the inevitable hardships that will arise. The goal of premeditatio malorum is to prevent us from being caught off guard when life doesn't go as planned. In our modern world, it's easy to fall into the trap of expecting everything to unfold smoothly or to become overly disappointed when things go wrong. But the Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, and by recognizing the potential for setbacks, we can maintain a sense of calm and readiness, no matter what comes our way. The practice begins with taking a few moments to reflect on possible obstacles or difficulties that might arise in any given situation. Whether it's a big project at work, a personal goal, or even a relationship, you can anticipate potential roadblocks. What if the project doesn't go as planned? What if a colleague disagrees with your ideas? What if the relationship faces a misunderstanding or an argument? These are all valid scenarios that can cause anxiety or stress if we haven't thought them through. By visualizing these challenges in advance, we give ourselves the opportunity to prepare mentally. Instead of feeling blindsided when something goes wrong, we can take a deep breath, recall how we envisioned this situation, and calmly navigate the problem with confidence. Imagine preparing for a public speaking event. You might anticipate a variety of obstacles, such as technical issues, forgetting a key point, or feeling nervous in front of an audience. Rather than letting these possibilities overwhelm you, you can plan for each one. You might have a backup plan if the slides fail, a technique for regaining composure if you forget something, or a mental strategy to calm your nerves. By doing this, you already feel empowered before the challenge even presents itself. This Stoic practice doesn't just help with planning for specific events. It teaches us to accept that challenges are a natural part of life. When we expect things to always go smoothly, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment when they don't. On the other hand, when we accept that obstacles and challenges are part of the human experience, we develop a greater sense of peace and resilience. When difficulties do arise, we see them not as problems to be avoided, but as opportunities to grow and develop our character. Anticipating challenges also helps to reduce anxiety about the future. A lot of stress comes from the unknown, the what-ifs, that plague our minds. By practicing premeditatio malorum, we essentially take the fear out of the unknown. We're not trying to predict every detail of the future, but we are acknowledging that uncertainty exists, and we are making ourselves mentally prepared to handle it. In doing so, we build a stronger, more resilient mindset that can weather life's inevitable storms with clarity and calmness. There's also a surprising benefit of premeditatio malorum that ties into the idea of gratitude. When we spend time visualizing how things could go wrong, we're often forced to acknowledge just how much we have in the present moment. We realize that even in the worst-case scenario, we may still have more than we think. In imagining loss, we come to better appreciate what we have, and we become more adaptable when things don't go according to plan. This practice also enhances our emotional self-control. It trains us to expect discomfort and challenges, so when they appear, we don't let them throw us off balance. Instead of reacting impulsively or becoming overwhelmed, we've already mentally prepared for adversity. For example, if a close friend disappoints you or a project at work falls apart, instead of immediately becoming upset or frustrated, you can take a step back and calmly assess the situation. This doesn't mean you won't feel emotions. Stoicism doesn't ask us to suppress our feelings, but it means we won't be controlled by them. Instead of reacting in anger, frustration, or fear, we will act with reason and patience, guided by the wisdom of our premeditated response. In addition, premeditating challenges helps build a strong sense of control over what we can influence. When we mentally rehearse adversity, we come to understand that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. This mindset shift fosters a deep sense of empowerment. We stop seeing ourselves as passive victims of circumstance, and instead we become active participants in our own lives, equipped with the resilience to handle anything that comes our way. Lastly, by visualizing challenges before they appear, we can plan practical steps to mitigate potential difficulties. For example, if you anticipate a setback in your career, you can take steps now to prepare yourself, whether it's building a skill, networking, or addressing potential weaknesses. Anticipating problems gives you the foresight to act proactively rather than reactively. It turns life's uncertainties from a source of fear into an opportunity for growth, planning, and action. In conclusion, the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum isn't about creating a life of fear or worry, but about embracing the inevitable unpredictability of life with wisdom and strength. It's about accepting that challenges are a part of the journey, and by mentally preparing for them, we can face them with confidence and resilience. When you anticipate obstacles, you strengthen your ability to handle them, reduce anxiety, and appreciate what you have in the present. This mindset doesn't just help you survive life's challenges, it helps you thrive through them. 10. Be present in the moment. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the significance of focusing on the present moment. In his meditations, he said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is more than just a reminder of the impermanence of life. It's a call to recognize that the present moment is the only time over which we have any real control. The past has already passed, and the future is uncertain. The only moment we can truly engage with, influence, and experience is now. Living in the moment doesn't mean dismissing the past or the future. It means accepting them for what they are. The past is behind us, and the future is out of our hands. What we do with the present, however, is what shapes our lives. Our constant tendency to dwell on what has happened or to worry about what might happen in the future takes us away from this vital truth. In our modern world, distractions abound. The constant pressure to perform, the expectations placed on us by society, and the myriad of digital distractions make it difficult to remain present. We're often multitasking, working on a project while checking our phones, eating while watching TV, or engaging in a conversation while our minds wander elsewhere. This lack of full engagement with the present leads to a fragmented experience of life, leaving us feeling stressed, distracted, and dissatisfied. The Stoics recognized this issue centuries ago and advocated for practices that would bring our attention back to the here and now. They believe that when we are fully immersed in the present moment, we can act with greater clarity, focus, and virtue. They encouraged mindfulness, the practice of paying full attention to our thoughts, actions, and surroundings without judgment. This awareness, they argued, leads to greater self-control and serenity. Start by acknowledging when your mind drifts. It's completely normal for our attention to wander, especially in today's world of constant information overload. However, when you notice that your mind has slipped away from the task at hand, practice bringing it back gently. This could mean focusing on your breath, paying attention to the sensations in your body, or returning to the task you're working on. With practice, it becomes easier to keep your mind centered in the present moment. One of the most powerful ways to practice being present is through intentional living. For example, when you're working on a task, whether it's something as simple as washing dishes or something more complex like preparing a report for work, give it your full attention. Engage with the task itself, appreciating it for what it is, rather than letting your mind jump ahead to what's next on your to-do list. The Stoics viewed each action as an opportunity to practice virtue. Washing dishes, for instance, can become a mindful practice where you focus on the sensory experience, the warmth of the water, the texture of the soap, the rhythm of your movements. Similarly, when you're having a conversation, give the person your full attention. Rather than thinking about your response while the other person is speaking, truly listen to their words, the tone of their voice, and their body language. Engage with them in the present moment. This will not only improve your relationships, but will also increase your own sense of connection to the world around you. Being present also has profound psychological benefits. When you focus on the present moment, you reduce the tendency to overthink or ruminate on past events. Dwelling on mistakes or regretting missed opportunities drains energy and leads to unnecessary stress. Instead, by focusing on the present, you free yourself from this mental cycle and reduce anxiety about the future. This practice of staying in the now helps you to better manage your emotions and to build emotional resilience. The Stoics also understood that when we focus on the present, we can better appreciate the fleeting nature of life. Life is brief, and the present moment is where we have the power to make decisions, take action, and engage meaningfully with the world. When we truly embrace the present, we can find joy and purpose in even the simplest of tasks. Another powerful technique to help with presence is to start each day with an intention. Before you get out of bed, take a few moments to mentally prepare for the day ahead. What is most important to you today? How can you act with purpose and mindfulness? By setting this intention, you can carry a sense of presence with you throughout the day. Incorporating mindfulness into daily activities is another great way to stay grounded in the present. Whether you are eating, walking, or commuting, try to focus fully on the experience. Notice the sights, sounds, smells, and sensations that you often overlook in your daily routine. This practice allows you to step away from distractions and fully appreciate the richness of each moment. One powerful Stoic tool for cultivating presence is reflection. At the end of each day, take time to reflect on your actions. Were you truly present during your interactions? Did you focus on the task at hand, or were you distracted? This practice of reviewing your day helps you become more aware of your habits and thought patterns and allows you to make adjustments for the future. By practicing mindfulness and presence, you begin to see how fleeting and precious time is. Each moment, no matter how ordinary, is an opportunity to live according to your values and principles. When we live fully in the present, we embrace the Stoic idea that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from how we choose to respond to each moment. In the words of Epictetus, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The present moment holds endless potential for growth, action, and fulfillment. By staying anchored in it, you can make the most of your time, reduce stress, and experience greater peace of mind. 11. Cultivate inner peace. Inner peace for the Stoics is not a fleeting emotion, but a profound state of tranquility that arises from within. It's a calmness rooted in clarity, acceptance, and virtuous action. Unlike superficial serenity, Stoic peace is built on resilience in the face of life's inevitable difficulties. How can we attain this enduring peace amid life's storms? By applying Stoic practices consistently and mindfully, we can transform our inner world into a sanctuary of strength and calm. First, recognize that inner peace begins with understanding what you can and cannot control. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, emphasized this distinction. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Your thoughts, actions, and choices are within your power. External events, the opinions of others, and random occurrences are not. The key to tranquility is directing your energy only toward what lies within your influence. Whenever you feel frustrated or anxious, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can change? Or am I wasting my energy on something beyond my control? This simple yet profound question can shift your mindset from turmoil to calm acceptance. Meditation and mental preparation are critical to cultivating inner peace. The Stoics practiced a form of meditation known as premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. This involves visualizing potential difficulties before they arise. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, would begin his mornings by reflecting on the types of people he might encounter, those who are deceitful, selfish, or irritable. By preparing himself mentally, he could meet these challenges with patience and understanding, rather than anger. Try incorporating this practice into your own life. Before starting your day, spend a few moments imagining possible obstacles and decide in advance how you will respond calmly and rationally. This mental rehearsal strengthens your emotional resilience and keeps you grounded in peace. Daily reflection and journaling are equally powerful tools. At the end of each day, set aside time to review your actions. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, encouraged this habit. We must go back over the whole of the day in our minds. What did I do well? What could I have done better? Writing down your thoughts allows you to see patterns in your behavior and thought processes. When something disturbs your peace, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this event? Is my reaction based on reality or my interpretation? Journaling transforms confusion into clarity, helping you disentangle emotions from facts. Over time, this practice refines your ability to remain calm under pressure. Mindfulness and living fully in the present moment are central to Stoic tranquility. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, confine yourself to the present. Much of our mental distress comes from ruminating on the past or worrying about the future, neither of which we can change in the present moment. Whenever your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to the now. Engage fully in whatever you are doing, whether it's a conversation, a walk, or a task at work. Feel the sensations around you, observe your breathing, and immerse yourself in the experience. Mindfulness reduces mental clutter and helps you appreciate the richness of life as it unfolds. Gratitude as a foundation for inner peace is another cornerstone of Stoicism. Instead of longing for what you lack, cherish what you already have. Marcus Aurelius advises, do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but reckon up the blessings you do possess. Begin each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Even small moments, a kind gesture, the warmth of the sun, or a peaceful morning, are worthy of gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, fostering a sense of contentment and serenity. Embracing impermanence and the inevitability of change is vital to maintaining inner peace. Life is in constant flux, relationships evolve, fortunes shift, and nothing remains the same. The Stoics taught that resisting change only creates suffering. Seneca reminds us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. By accepting impermanence, you free yourself from fear and attachment. Reflect on the transient nature of all things, not as a source of sorrow, but as a reminder to cherish what you have while it lasts. Facing adversity with equanimity is another hallmark of Stoic peace. Life will present hardships, loss, failure, disappointment, but these trials are opportunities for growth. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." When adversity strikes, ask yourself, what lesson can I learn from this experience? How can it strengthen my character? By reframing difficulties as teachers, you transform suffering into wisdom and cultivate an unshakable calm. Letting go of external validation is crucial for finding inner peace. Many people tie their happiness to the opinions of others, leaving themselves vulnerable to criticism or rejection. The Stoics teach that peace comes from living in accordance with your values, not from seeking approval. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. True tranquility arises when your sense of self-worth is anchored in your own integrity rather than in the judgments of others. Finally, remember that inner peace is an ongoing journey, not a final destination. It requires consistent practice, self-reflection, and a commitment to virtue. Celebrate small victories along the way and be patient with yourself. Perfection is not the goal, progress is. By incorporating Stoic principles into your daily life, you build a strong, serene mind capable of weathering any storm. 12. Serve a greater purpose, living with meaning beyond the self. Stoicism teaches that life's highest fulfillment comes from contributing to the greater good and living in harmony with the nature of humanity as rational social beings. The Stoics believe that every person has a role to play in society, and true happiness is found not in individual pleasure or personal gain, but in selfless service and virtuous action. The principle of serving a greater purpose is deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy, reminding us that our lives are most meaningful when we live for something larger than ourselves. Ask yourself, how can my actions benefit not only myself but also those around me? How can I create lasting value in the world? Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the interconnectedness of all human beings. He wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. To act against one another, then, is contrary to nature. This powerful analogy illustrates that, just as different parts of the body work together for a common purpose, we too must live in harmony with others. In other words, we are not isolated beings. We are part of a vast, intricate network of humanity, and our happiness is intimately connected with the well-being of others. True success, in the Stoic sense, is measured not by individual achievements, but by the positive impact we have on the collective welfare of society. To serve a greater purpose, we must first clarify what that purpose is. Living purposefully begins with an understanding of your values, passions, and the positive contributions you wish to make to the world. It requires asking fundamental questions. What do I stand for? What does my ideal life look like, not just for me, but for the people around me? The answer to these questions will guide your decisions, your actions, and ultimately, your character. Stoics often remind us that purpose-driven living is a lifelong journey, one that requires constant attention and reflection. Reflecting on your mission can take many forms. It could be engaging in long-term goals that have a lasting impact, like working to alleviate suffering in the world, or creating art that inspires future generations. It could also be in the everyday moments, like helping a colleague with their struggles, offering kindness to a stranger, or supporting your loved ones when they are in need. Consider writing a personal mission statement or journaling regularly about the legacy you want to leave behind. What do you want people to remember about you? What impact do you want to make on the world? Reflecting on these questions helps guide your actions and reminds you to stay aligned with your highest values, even when life's challenges threaten to pull you off course. Purposeful living is also rooted in practical action. Stoicism calls us to live each day with intention, no matter how small the steps. Here are some ways to integrate the principle of service into your life. Commit to daily acts of kindness. Small gestures, such as offering encouragement, listening deeply, or helping someone with a task, build a foundation of compassion and connection. Each of these acts, though seemingly small, contribute to a ripple effect of positivity in your community. Engage in mentorship. Share your knowledge, experience, or skills with someone seeking guidance. Helping others grow fosters a sense of purpose and mutual enrichment. The Stoics believed that wisdom is to be shared, not hoarded, and that teaching others not only helps them, but strengthens your own understanding as well. Dedicate time to causes that align with your core values. Whether it's volunteering for a non-profit, participating in community initiatives, or advocating for social justice, contributing your time and resources empowers positive change. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we may not control the entire course of events, we do control the ways we choose to engage with the world. Create meaningful work. If your career is your platform for service, focus on how your work can improve the lives of others. Purpose-driven work aligns profitability with integrity and positive societal impact. Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus remind us that fulfilling work is not just about financial success, but also about contributing something of value to society. Serving a greater purpose also means embodying the virtues that support the common good: justice, fairness, courage, and compassion. It means treating others with respect and integrity, even when faced with adversity or when it's not easy. It requires the strength to stand up for what is right, even when doing so is difficult. The Stoics were clear in their belief that virtuous actions are an expression of our highest selves, and the impact of those actions reverberates beyond our immediate circles. Seneca said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This truth serves as a reminder that opportunities to serve are everywhere, in our homes, workplaces, and everyday encounters. Each moment provides us with a choice. We can either act with kindness, empathy, and integrity, or we can turn away. Stoicism urges us to embrace these opportunities, no matter how small they seem. Finally, serving a greater purpose requires patience, perseverance, and resilience. The impact of your actions may not always be immediately visible, but trust that living a life aligned with virtue contributes to the larger flow of human progress. Stoic wisdom teaches us to persist, to do good for its own sake, and to leave outcomes to fate. We may not see the full result of our actions, but that should not deter us from doing what is right. By focusing on what is within our control, our intentions and actions, we align ourselves with the highest ideals of Stoicism. In embracing a life of service, we do not simply improve the world, we improve ourselves. We grow in character, compassion, and resilience. We develop a deeper understanding of our shared humanity and our interconnectedness. And in doing so, we create lives of lasting meaning and fulfillment. By making the well-being of others our priority, we find that the more we give, the more we receive, not in material wealth, but in the richness of purpose, connection, and peace. 13. Take responsibility for your life. Epictetus famously said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This statement encapsulates the core of Stoic philosophy. Life is full of uncontrollable events, but we possess the ultimate power over how we respond. This idea of personal responsibility forms the foundation of Stoicism, urging us to take full ownership of our actions, decisions, and attitudes. By embracing this principle, we can foster growth, resilience, and inner strength. To truly take responsibility means to stop viewing ourselves as victims of external circumstances. It's far too easy to blame others, our environment, or even fate for our troubles. But Stoicism teaches us that this mindset disempowers us. When we blame external factors, we relinquish control over our own happiness and growth. Instead, the Stoics ask us to look inward and recognize that we have the power to choose our reactions and perceptions. We are not defined by the things that happen to us, but by the way we choose to respond. Taking responsibility also involves a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing life's challenges as burdens or obstacles, we are encouraged to view them as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. In every difficult situation, there is a lesson to be learned. Whether it's a setback at work, a relationship conflict, or an unexpected hardship, these experiences are not punishments, but chances to become more resilient, patient, and wise. The Stoics believe that adversity strengthens character, and we can embrace challenges with the mindset that they are refining us. When something goes wrong, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming others. Perhaps someone has wronged you, or an event unfolded in a way you didn't expect. In these moments, it's tempting to feel anger, frustration, or resentment. But the Stoics remind us that our emotional responses to external events are within our control. The person who cut you off in traffic, the colleague who criticized your work, or the plans that fell through. These events do not determine your peace of mind unless you allow them to. You always have the power to choose how to respond. This sense of responsibility extends to our emotions as well. While it's natural to feel anger, sadness, or frustration, Stoicism teaches us that we must not let our emotions control us. Instead, we should take responsibility for how we experience and express them. Rather than reacting impulsively, we are called to pause, reflect, and decide how we want to respond. By practicing self-awareness and emotional regulation, we can cultivate a sense of inner peace that is not easily disturbed by the fluctuations of life. A crucial aspect of taking responsibility is acknowledging that we are not perfect. We all make mistakes, whether in our personal lives or professional endeavors. The key, however, is how we handle our mistakes. Rather than shifting blame or making excuses, a Stoic would reflect honestly on the situation. What went wrong? What can I learn from this experience? Taking responsibility for our mistakes doesn't mean beating ourselves up or falling into self-criticism. Instead, it's an opportunity to examine our actions with humility and a desire to grow. Mistakes are not failures, but stepping stones on the path to wisdom and personal development. Moreover, taking responsibility means understanding that our choices shape our lives. Every decision, big or small, contributes to the person we become. Stoics encourage us to act with intention and purpose, keeping in mind our values and long-term goals. When we act in alignment with our deepest principles, we reinforce our sense of personal integrity and honor. When we neglect our responsibilities, on the other hand, we drift further from the person we aspire to be. True responsibility also requires discipline. Often, the path to improvement is not easy or comfortable. It demands hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance. To improve ourselves, we must be willing to consistently show up and put in the effort, even when the results aren't immediately visible. It's about showing up for ourselves and making the right choices. even when it requires us to delay gratification or make uncomfortable sacrifices. The Stoics believed that the most meaningful growth comes from cultivating habits of self-discipline that are rooted in virtue. This might mean sticking to a routine, waking up early, or resisting the temptation to indulge in distractions. Through consistent effort, we build the foundation for long-term success and fulfillment. When we take responsibility, we also take control of our destiny. This doesn't mean that we can control everything in life. There will always be things beyond our influence. However, it does mean that we have the power to determine our response to life's unpredictable nature. The Stoics emphasize the importance of understanding what is within our control and what is not. While we cannot control other people's actions or the external world, we can control our attitudes, our values, and our efforts. The more we focus on what we can change, the more empowered we feel in navigating the challenges that life throws our way. Taking responsibility also involves being proactive about our lives. It's about taking the reins, instead of waiting passively for life to unfold. If you want to improve, you must act. Waiting for the perfect moment or for things to fall into place will only lead to stagnation. Taking responsibility means making conscious decisions every day to take the actions that will lead you closer to your goals, whether that's working on your health, your relationships, or your career. It's important to note that taking responsibility doesn't mean carrying the burden of the world on your shoulders. It doesn't mean trying to control every situation or becoming overwhelmed by every challenge. Rather, it's about understanding that you are the captain of your ship and that the choices you make determine the direction in which you're heading. This understanding gives you the freedom to navigate through life's storms with purpose and clarity. In summary, taking responsibility is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. It involves accepting full ownership of your life and choices, understanding the power you have to shape your reactions, and recognizing that your growth is entirely in your hands. By adopting this mindset, you empower yourself to face life with courage, integrity, and wisdom. It's not always easy, but it's through taking responsibility that we find true freedom. The freedom to live according to our values, to grow continuously, and to transform our lives for the better. 14. Embrace change and impermanence. Life is in constant flux. Everything we know, our relationships, our careers, even our bodies, is subject to change. The Stoics teach us that nothing in this world is permanent, and that embracing the impermanence of life is crucial to cultivating peace of mind and living a fulfilling existence. Change in all its forms is not something to fear, but something to accept and adapt to. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the understanding that life is in a continuous state of transformation. The Stoic thinker Heraclitus famously said, "The only constant in life is change." This insight is foundational to Stoic thinking. It's the recognition that everything around us is fleeting, and that attempting to hold on to anything permanently will inevitably lead to frustration and suffering. Life, like the seasons, moves forward whether we resist it or not, and the more we try to cling to what was, the more we suffer when it inevitably changes. The Stoics teach us that nothing in this world lasts forever, not the good times nor the bad. This understanding is not meant to make us cynical, but rather to help us cultivate a sense of detachment from outcomes. When we accept that our circumstances will change, we can stop clinging to them and start appreciating the present moment more fully. This doesn't mean we should become indifferent to life's joys or sorrows. Quite the opposite, in fact. The Stoics believe we should embrace each moment as it is, appreciating the beauty of things while they are here, knowing they won't last forever. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about the inevitability of change and how we should respond to it. In his letter to Lucilius, he advises, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The point here is that life's impermanence is not a reason for despair, but a call to make the most of the time we have. If we spend our days trying to resist the changes that come with life, we waste precious moments. Instead, we should aim to live fully in each phase of life, understanding that what we experience now will pass, and we must learn to let go when it does. Another key idea in Stoic philosophy is the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, or the conscious contemplation of potential setbacks and challenges before they happen. This mental preparation isn't meant to create anxiety, but rather to help us accept that change is inevitable and that obstacles are part of the journey. By thinking ahead about the challenges we might face, we can prepare ourselves to handle them with wisdom and resilience when they do arise. The Stoics believed that by acknowledging the inevitable hardships of life, we are better able to navigate them when they come, instead of being blindsided or overwhelmed. The concept of Memento Mori, remembering that we will die one day, is another Stoic practice that helps us embrace change and impermanence. The awareness of our own mortality serves as a reminder that life is finite and that nothing is permanent. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius writes, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a powerful reminder that the present moment is all we truly have. By accepting the impermanence of our own lives, we become more mindful of how we spend our time, our energy, and our thoughts. It encourages us to live authentically and purposefully, not waiting for the perfect moment or for circumstances to align before we take action. When we accept the impermanence of all things, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoics urge us to focus on what we can control, our reactions, our decisions, and our behavior, while letting go of the desire to control everything around us. This mindset helps us cultivate equanimity, which is the ability to maintain mental calmness and balance in the face of life's ups and downs. By accepting that change is a natural part of life, we can let go of the fear that often accompanies it, and instead learn to navigate life's transitions with clarity and calm. One of the greatest benefits of embracing change and impermanence is that it helps us manage expectations. When we accept that life is unpredictable, we become less disappointed when things don't go as planned. The Stoics teach us that we shouldn't expect life to be smooth or predictable. The world is filled with challenges and obstacles, but also with opportunities for growth. By letting go of rigid expectations and learning to adapt to change, we become more resilient and resourceful. Moreover, the Stoic idea of impermanence extends not just to external circumstances, but also to people. Relationships, just like all things, are subject to change. People grow, evolve, and sometimes move on. This can be particularly difficult when we experience loss, whether it's the end of a relationship, the death of a loved one, or the departure of a close friend. But the Stoics encourage us to view these changes not as personal failures or tragedies, but as natural parts of life. In his Letters from a Stoic, Seneca writes, "It is not that we have lost something, but that we are always subject to the possibility of losing it." By accepting this, we can cherish the people in our lives while they are with us and release them gracefully when the time comes. In the face of inevitable change, the Stoics urge us to focus on living virtuously. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are the four cardinal virtues that the Stoics believed should guide every aspect of life. When we embrace change and impermanence, we are better able to align our actions with these virtues. By focusing on what we can control, our responses and our attitudes, we can approach each new chapter of life with wisdom and a sense of purpose. Ultimately, embracing change and impermanence is about learning to live in harmony with the natural flow of life. It is about letting go of our attachment to things, people, and situations, and instead cultivating flexibility, acceptance, and inner peace. Change will continue to come, whether we are prepared for it or not. But by embracing it, we can move through life with resilience, embracing the full range of human experience without clinging to any one moment. The Stoics teach us that this acceptance doesn't diminish the value of life, it enhances it, making us more capable of facing whatever comes our way with grace and strength. 15. Practice self-discipline. Self-discipline is not just about making tough choices or resisting the lure of temptation. It's about shaping your life and your character in a way that supports the pursuit of your highest potential. In Stoic philosophy, self-discipline is deeply connected to virtue and reason. It's the practice of acting in alignment with what is truly important to you, regardless of the external circumstances. The Stoics recognized that in order to live a good life, one that is virtuous, meaningful, and fulfilling, you must cultivate the discipline to make wise, intentional decisions each day. Self-discipline, when practiced consistently, becomes a powerful force in your life. It gives you the strength to take control of your actions, emotions, and thoughts, allowing you to live in accordance with your values rather than being swayed by fleeting desires or distractions. But how does one develop this kind of discipline, and why is it so vital for self-improvement? Start with small, manageable changes. The first step in building self-discipline is to start small. Trying to make drastic changes all at once can be overwhelming and counterproductive. Instead, the Stoics advocated for incremental progress. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Meaning, the challenges you face and the habits you need to overcome are precisely the places where growth happens. Begin by focusing on simple, everyday actions that will lead to a more disciplined life. This could mean waking up at a consistent time each day, setting aside a period for focused work, or dedicating a set time for physical exercise. The key is consistency. By making these changes small and attainable, you build a foundation of discipline that you can expand upon over time. It's the compounding effect of small, disciplined actions that leads to significant transformation. Establish a clear purpose. Self-discipline is not just about saying no to indulgence or temptation. It's about saying yes to something greater, your higher purpose or your long-term goals. One of the primary tenets of Stoic philosophy is living in accordance with your true nature and values. Discipline becomes effortless when it's aligned with something meaningful to you. This is where having a clear sense of purpose becomes essential. Without a sense of purpose, it's easy to become distracted by short-term desires or the opinions of others. The Stoics believe that when you understand your purpose, discipline naturally follows. If you know that your goal is to live a virtuous life, improve your mind, or contribute to the welfare of others, each act of self-discipline reinforces that purpose. So begin by identifying your why, what motivates you to become the best version of yourself, and let that be your guide. Practice delayed gratification. One of the hallmarks of self-discipline is the ability to delay gratification. The Stoics saw the pursuit of immediate pleasures as a hindrance to long-term happiness and fulfillment. Seneca, in particular, frequently emphasized the dangers of overindulgence, stating, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The Stoic approach to life encourages you to find satisfaction not in external rewards, but in self-control and the mastery of your desires. The ability to delay gratification is powerful because it places you in control. Instead of being ruled by momentary urges, whether it's the craving for food, comfort, or entertainment, you train your mind to focus on what truly matters. The practice of delaying gratification may be as simple as choosing to skip a night out to work on a personal project, or resisting the urge to buy something unnecessary. When you make these small sacrifices in the present, you ultimately create a future where you are closer to your goals and values. Build strong habits and routines. The foundation of self-discipline lies in the habits you cultivate. The Stoics understood that virtue and wisdom aren't the results of isolated moments of clarity, but of a lifetime of consistent practice. Good habits are the framework within which self-discipline operates. When you incorporate productive, intentional habits into your daily life, the need for constant willpower diminishes. Consider developing a routine that sets you up for success each day. The Stoics were advocates of structure because it minimizes the number of decisions you need to make, freeing your mental energy for more important tasks. For example, having a set time for work, exercise, meals, and rest helps establish a rhythm that makes it easier to stay disciplined. By adhering to a routine, you avoid the mental exhaustion of decision fatigue and create an environment where self-discipline thrives. Cultivate emotional control. Self-discipline is not just about actions, it's also about emotional control. The Stoics believe that emotions, when unchecked, can lead us to make impulsive and irrational decisions. Instead of suppressing or ignoring emotions, they taught that we should acknowledge them, reflect on their causes, and then choose how to respond. Practicing emotional control is one of the most challenging, yet most rewarding, aspects of self-discipline. For instance, when faced with anger or frustration, rather than immediately reacting, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, is this response aligned with my values? Often, emotional reactions lead to regret, but if you can train yourself to maintain composure, you can act with greater clarity and wisdom. Over time, this practice becomes ingrained, and emotional reactions lose their power over you. Overcome weaknesses and temptations. Everyone has weaknesses, and acknowledging them is a vital step in cultivating self-discipline. The Stoics didn't believe in denying our flaws, but rather in recognizing them and working to overcome them. This requires honesty and self-awareness. Look at areas of your life where you tend to lose control. Perhaps you procrastinate when it comes to important tasks, or you indulge in habits that distract you from your greater goals. By identifying your temptations and weaknesses, you create an opportunity for growth. The Stoics would often practice an exercise called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, in which they would anticipate potential obstacles and mentally prepare themselves to face them. In this way, you can prepare your mind to respond to temptations before they arise. Knowing your weaknesses allows you to strategize and put systems in place to minimize their impact on your life. The power of choice. At the heart of Stoic self-discipline is the understanding that no matter what happens externally, you always have the power to choose your response. Life will throw challenges your way, temptations, distractions, frustrations, but how you respond is entirely within your control. Every time you face a decision, you are presented with an opportunity to practice self-discipline. This means that when you're tempted to procrastinate or indulge in an unhealthy habit, you can choose to act in alignment with your goals. Instead of being a passive participant in your own life, you take the reins and choose actions that align with your purpose. When you live with this mindset, self-discipline becomes a natural extension of your will, not a forced effort. Consistent practice leads to mastery. Self-discipline is a muscle that grows stronger with consistent practice. It's not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that can be mastered once and for all. The Stoics understood that personal development is a lifelong journey. By committing to small, disciplined actions day after day, you gradually strengthen your resolve and increase your capacity for self-control. This process of gradual improvement is essential to Stoic thought. Perfection may be unattainable, but progress is always possible. Every day is an opportunity to practice self-discipline, whether it's through overcoming a fleeting desire, adhering to your routine, or choosing a virtuous response in the face of adversity. Self-discipline, in its truest form, is about aligning your actions with your values and long-term goals, and doing so consistently over time. It's about taking full ownership of your life and making the deliberate choice to live in a way that leads to fulfillment and personal growth. Through the practice of self-discipline, you can build a life that reflects your deepest intentions and values, becoming the person you were always meant to be. 16. Seek wisdom constantly. The Stoic view of wisdom is not confined to intellectual achievement or the ability to memorize facts. It's deeply embedded in practical living. Wisdom, according to the Stoics, is the highest virtue and the key to living a life of harmony, balance, and purpose. For the Stoics, wisdom encompasses not only the understanding of the world, but also the understanding of ourselves, our desires, and our potential for growth. It's about understanding the complexities of life and responding to them with thoughtful consideration rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. Epictetus, a foundational Stoic philosopher, is often quoted as saying, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This quote captures a core principle of Stoic wisdom, self-awareness. Before we can begin to learn, grow, and act wisely, we must first deeply understand our own character, our strengths, weaknesses, and desires. Self-awareness is the bedrock of wisdom, because only by truly understanding ourselves can we navigate the world with clarity, integrity, and purpose. In practice, the Stoics placed immense value on continuous learning. For them, wisdom was not a finite goal, but an ongoing journey that lasts a lifetime. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoic philosophy is its commitment to being open to learning at all stages of life. Wisdom isn't something you achieve and then stop pursuing. It's a continuous, active engagement with life. This means we should never stop questioning, reflecting, and seeking to better understand the world around us. For example, Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful Stoics, was constantly engaged in personal reflection and intellectual exploration. As a Roman emperor, he could have easily been consumed by the weight of his responsibilities, yet he spent much of his time in philosophical reflection. In his private journal, he reminded himself that learning was an essential part of his existence. His writings demonstrate his commitment to understanding his own thoughts, actions, and emotions, as well as his drive to learn from those who came before him. The Stoic approach to wisdom is also about developing practical knowledge, the ability to apply what you've learned to real-life situations. The Stoics didn't see wisdom as something confined to a lecture hall or a library. They believed wisdom was meant to be embodied in the way you live each day. To them, wisdom meant knowing how to act rightly in every situation, whether it's dealing with difficult people, managing your own emotions, or navigating personal challenges. It's the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, to make decisions based on reason rather than impulse, and to consistently choose virtue over vice. To cultivate wisdom, the Stoics practiced a process of reflective thinking. They regularly examined their actions and decisions, asking themselves whether their behavior aligned with their values. This practice of self-reflection is crucial to deepening wisdom because it helps us identify patterns, learn from our mistakes, and ensure that we're living in a way that reflects our deepest beliefs. By reflecting on our actions each day, we create the space to grow in wisdom because we can assess where we went wrong and where we succeeded. Moreover, the Stoics understood that the pursuit of wisdom required a deep commitment to self-discipline. Wisdom is not simply about having knowledge or being able to quote great philosophers. It's about the ability to apply that knowledge consistently. This requires self-discipline, which the Stoics saw as integral to developing any virtue. Practicing wisdom, like any other virtue, demands constant effort, patience, and the ability to stay focused on long-term goals rather than short-term desires. This discipline extends to many aspects of life. We must be disciplined in our thinking, our emotions, our actions, and our relationships. The Stoics also recognized the importance of humility in the pursuit of wisdom. They believed that true wisdom was rooted in acknowledging that we don't know everything. Humility isn't about self-deprecation, but about understanding that knowledge is vast and our understanding of it is limited. This humility allows us to remain open to learning because we recognize that there is always more to know. Epictetus famously taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This emphasizes that wisdom involves recognizing that we don't control everything that happens, but we do control how we respond to the world. The wise person, then, is someone who is not only knowledgeable but also aware of their own limitations and willing to learn from others. In the pursuit of wisdom, the Stoics also encouraged seeking knowledge from diverse sources. They didn't believe wisdom could be gained solely from reading philosophy or from the insights of a single teacher. Instead, they advocated for learning from all of life's experiences, whether it was from conversations with other people, the challenges we face, or even the mistakes we make. The wise person is someone who is constantly curious, constantly questioning, and constantly growing. By seeking out different perspectives, the Stoic is able to develop a fuller understanding of the world and make better decisions. Another key element in the Stoic quest for wisdom is an understanding of the impermanence of life. The Stoics frequently meditated on the transient nature of existence and the inevitability of change. For them, wisdom was not about holding on tightly to the things of this world, but about accepting the temporary nature of everything, our possessions, our relationships, and even our own lives. By contemplating death, through practices like Memento, Mori, the Stoics found the motivation to live more fully in the present moment and to focus on what truly matters. This recognition of impermanence sharpens our focus on what is important, helping us make wiser decisions and live with greater intentionality. Wisdom also involves understanding the distinction between what is in our control and what is not. The Stoics were masters at recognizing that while we cannot control external events, we can control our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. This deep understanding of control allows us to cultivate peace of mind, because we focus on what we can change and let go of anxiety over things that are beyond our reach. By internalizing this principle, we become more resilient in the face of difficulties and more centered in our responses to the challenges of life. A key component of Stoic wisdom is the ability to make decisions that align with virtue. Virtue, according to the Stoics, is the highest good and encompasses wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom, in this sense, is the ability to navigate life in accordance with these virtues, making choices that contribute to the common good, act justly, and preserve personal integrity. Every decision, from the smallest actions to the biggest life choices, is an opportunity to practice wisdom and live in alignment with the Stoic virtues. In sum, the Stoic pursuit of wisdom is a lifelong endeavor that requires constant reflection, discipline, curiosity, humility, and awareness of impermanence. It is a process of engaging with life, learning from every experience, and making choices based on reason rather than emotion. By seeking wisdom constantly, we create the foundation for a virtuous life and build the resilience necessary to navigate the complexities of existence with grace and clarity. Wisdom, in this way, is not just about knowing. It's about living rightly in every moment, responding to life's challenges with virtue, and striving for continuous self-improvement. The pursuit of wisdom is, ultimately, the pursuit of a life well lived. 17. Avoid complaining. Complaining is one of the most counterproductive habits a person can have. It offers no real solution, drains energy, and reinforces a cycle of negativity. The Stoics teach us that happiness and peace of mind come from focusing on what is within our control, our actions, thoughts, and reactions, while complaints keep us fixated on external events and perceived injustices that we cannot change. Why do people complain? Often it's because they feel a sense of unfairness or discomfort. But venting frustrations doesn't solve problems. It only magnifies feelings of helplessness. Imagine facing common frustrations like a long line at the store or a slow internet connection. Complaining about these situations won't make the line shorter or the internet faster. It merely amplifies your irritation and blinds you to any potential silver linings. The Stoic approach is to break this unhelpful pattern by practicing rational reflection. When something unfavorable happens, ask yourself, is this event within my control? If it is, focus on taking meaningful action. If it's beyond your influence, practice acceptance. Does my complaint change the outcome? The honest answer is almost always no. Instead of wasting energy on lamenting a situation, redirect your thoughts toward growth or action. Marcus Aurelius advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Complaining is a failure to recognize this truth. It gives power to external forces and denies your responsibility for how you experience life. But when you accept responsibility for your mindset, you reclaim control over your emotional state and your actions. Consider transforming complaints into constructive action. For instance, instead of complaining about a coworker's inefficiency, ask yourself how you can improve collaboration. Could better communication, patience, or leading by example create a more harmonious outcome? Similarly, if you're frustrated by bad weather, shift your mindset. Use the time indoors for reflection, reading, or working on a project you've been postponing. Every frustration carries the seed of an opportunity if you're willing to look for it. Another powerful tool to combat complaining is gratitude. When you're tempted to voice dissatisfaction, pause and think of something you're thankful for. If your train is delayed, use the extra minutes to appreciate a good book or the calm of a few uninterrupted thoughts. If you face criticism at work, view it as a chance to learn or sharpen your resilience. Gratitude reframes challenges into experiences that contribute to personal growth. The company you keep also plays a significant role. Surrounding yourself with complainers can reinforce negativity and pull you into their mindset. Conversely, being around people who focus on solutions and self-improvement will inspire you to do the same. Seneca wisely noted, "Associate with those who are likely to improve you." Choose your influences wisely and be mindful of how your own words affect others. When you replace complaining with thoughtful reflection and action, you inspire those around you to adopt a more positive and proactive approach to life. The next time you find yourself on the verge of complaining, pause. Ask yourself, what am I gaining from this? Is there a constructive action I can take instead? What lesson or opportunity does this challenge offer? Complaining keeps you tethered to problems, while Stoicism frees you to focus on resilience, gratitude, and purpose. Choose growth over grumbling, and you'll discover a life of far greater peace and productivity. Finally, reflect on how time is spent. Every moment devoted to complaining is a moment lost to inaction. Imagine if you dedicated that same energy to finding solutions, cultivating patience, or simply letting go of what cannot be changed. The Stoics viewed time as one of life's most precious resources. Use it wisely. 18. Surround yourself with virtuous people. The people you spend the most time with have a profound and lasting influence on your values, habits, and character. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that your associations are crucial in shaping the person you become. Seneca famously advised, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This deceptively simple statement carries profound implications for personal growth. If you want to walk the path of constant self-improvement, you must be intentional about the relationships you cultivate. Your inner circle should consist of those who challenge your thinking, inspire your ambitions, and encourage you to live in accordance with virtue. Why does this principle matter so much? Human beings are naturally social creatures. We unconsciously mirror the behaviors, attitudes, and thought patterns of those around us. Spending time with people who demonstrate wisdom, discipline, kindness, and integrity influences you to embody these traits as well. When you witness a friend handling conflict with calm rationality, it reinforces your own ability to stay composed in difficult situations. If your peers pursue excellence with determination and grit, their energy motivates you to push harder in your own endeavors. The right relationships act as a catalyst for your growth, lifting you higher than you could reach on your own. Consider also the type of feedback and accountability virtuous companions provide. A true friend aligned with Stoic principles will not simply flatter you or reinforce your comfort zone. Instead, they will offer constructive criticism when you stray from your values, gently guiding you back toward wisdom and temperance. They will celebrate your successes while reminding you to stay humble. And they will help you find lessons in your failures without judgment or blame. In Stoicism, friendship is not about convenience or fleeting pleasures. It is a mutual partnership aimed at the flourishing of both souls. To surround yourself with virtuous people, begin by seeking those who embody qualities you admire. Look for individuals who live according to reason and virtue, whose actions demonstrate courage, patience, and justice. Pay attention to how they handle adversity. Do they maintain composure and learn from their trials, or do they react with bitterness and defeat? The Stoic concept of proheiresis, the ability to choose how you respond to circumstances, is best observed in practice. Surrounding yourself with people who consistently choose reason and wisdom strengthens your own commitment to doing the same. Building these relationships requires effort and discernment. Attend gatherings where thoughtful discussion and self-improvement are valued. Join communities or groups that prioritize learning, resilience, and ethical behavior. Be patient, as forming deep and meaningful connections takes time and trust. Keep in mind that finding virtuous companions is not about perfection. No one is without flaws, but about seeking those who are committed to growth and learning. Equally important is recognizing and minimizing your exposure to relationships that hinder your progress. Some people cultivate negativity, indulgence, or cynicism. They may complain constantly, focus on superficial pleasures, or engage in gossip and envy. While compassion and tolerance are virtues, the Stoics teach that it is wise to limit the influence of those who consistently act against reason and virtue. This does not mean abandoning empathy or cutting people off without thought. Instead, it involves carefully evaluating the impact a person has on your mental and moral well-being. If a relationship consistently pulls you away from your highest self, it may be time to step back with kindness and focus your energy elsewhere. Virtuous companionship is one of life's greatest treasures. The Stoics remind us that personal growth is not a solitary endeavor. It is strengthened and accelerated by the right alliances. When you surround yourself with those who reflect the best qualities of humanity, you gain a network of allies who uplift you, guide you, and hold you accountable. Your mind sharpens, your soul strengthens, and your capacity for resilience grows. Choose your friends and mentors with care. Invest in those relationships deeply, and become the person who improves the lives of others simply by being present. In the Stoic view, this is not only a path to self-improvement, it is a way to live in harmony with nature and to contribute meaningfully to the greater good. Finally, remember that Stoic friendship is reciprocal. You must strive to be the virtuous person you want to surround yourself with. Be the kind of friend who encourages others to reflect on their actions, pursue knowledge, and overcome difficulties with grace. Offer wisdom and support without arrogance or condescension. Lead by example, embodying the 4 cardinal virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in your daily interactions. When you do so, you inspire those around you to grow alongside you, creating a circle of influence that radiates positivity and progress. 19. Meditate on death, Memento Mori. Remembering that life is finite can be one of the most powerful motivators for living a full, intentional, and authentic life. The Stoics practice the concept of Memento Mori, which translates to remember you must die. While this might initially sound morbid or grim, it's a profound reminder not of despair, but of the transience of life and the importance of living meaningfully. It helps us prioritize what truly matters, and not get caught up in the distractions and trivialities that often consume our time. The idea behind Memento Mori is not to make you fear death, but to encourage you to live with awareness and urgency. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most notable Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, frequently reminded himself of his own mortality. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This reminder was a call to live purposefully, to ensure that your time is spent doing things that matter, and to take meaningful actions every day. For the Stoics, reflecting on death is a way of freeing oneself from the fear of it. By remembering that life is temporary, you come to accept death as a natural part of the human experience. It's not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be understood and integrated into how we live. Death becomes a motivator to live fully, because once you accept the certainty of your own mortality, you no longer waste time worrying about it. Instead, you channel that energy into making the most of the time you have. When you contemplate death, it forces you to think deeply about what you value most in life. Are you spending your time on what truly matters to you, or are you chasing after fleeting distractions and superficial goals? By keeping death in mind, you stop taking life for granted and begin to focus on what truly adds value to your existence, your relationships, your character, and the impact you have on the world around you. The everyday struggles or minor inconveniences fade in comparison to the larger picture of life's impermanence, and you gain a clearer sense of perspective on your priorities. The Stoics didn't encourage a passive or fearful approach to life's end. Instead, they urged us to act with urgency and resolve. When you realize that your time here is limited, procrastination becomes less appealing. Rather than waiting for the right moment or the perfect time, you act now. You no longer waste precious moments, and you push forward toward your goals with vigor and purpose, understanding that the clock is ticking. This urgency doesn't bring anxiety, but instead it empowers you to live more fully, making the most of each day. Memento Mori also teaches you to let go of attachment to things outside your control. By meditating on death, you realize that external circumstances, material possessions, and the approval of others ultimately matter little in the grand scheme of life. What matters most is how you live, how you respond to life's challenges, and whether you act with virtue and integrity. This understanding helps you detach from the unnecessary burdens of life, such as ego, resentment, or the pursuit of wealth for its own sake, and focus on what is truly essential. In addition, contemplating death can help you cultivate a sense of gratitude. The awareness that life is fleeting makes you appreciate the simple things, a quiet moment, a meaningful conversation, the beauty of nature, or the love you share with others. When you think about how little time you have, you start to savor each moment more fully. Every day becomes an opportunity to experience the richness of life, to connect deeply with others, and to make a positive impact in the world. This sense of gratitude transforms how you live, making each day more precious and meaningful. You also begin to develop a deep acceptance of life's inevitable changes. The Stoics teach us that everything in life is temporary: joy, pain, success, and failure. All of these will pass, and in accepting the impermanence of life, we can free ourselves from clinging too tightly to any one moment or outcome. The knowledge that death is a certainty allows you to be less attached to outcomes, less afraid of failure, and less disappointed by losses. You can face the ups and downs of life with a sense of equanimity, knowing that everything is part of the larger flow of existence. Another critical aspect of Memento Mori is that it encourages you to focus on what you can control: your actions, your choices, and your mindset. The reality of death shows you that there's little time to waste on the uncontrollable aspects of life, like other people's opinions, your past mistakes, or what might happen in the future. Instead, it helps you focus on the present moment and how you respond to what life brings you. It pushes you to live intentionally, to make decisions that align with your values, and to act with integrity in all areas of your life. Moreover, contemplating death reminds you that everyone will eventually face the same fate, no matter their wealth, status, or achievements. This realization fosters a sense of humility and empathy. It encourages you to live with compassion, recognizing that all humans share this common experience, and that we should treat each other with kindness and respect. The awareness of our shared mortality can bring people closer together and inspire acts of generosity, service, and love. So rather than avoiding the thought of death, the Stoics encourage us to meditate on it daily. By keeping death in mind, we can transform our understanding of life, making each moment more meaningful and living with purpose and clarity. Every day becomes an opportunity to practice virtue, appreciate the fleeting beauty of existence, and contribute to the well-being of others. In doing so, we don't just face death, we live fully, with intention, and without regret. Finally, the practice of Memento Mori gives you the freedom to live authentically. Without the fear of death, you are less likely to conform to societal expectations or live inauthentically to please others. You are free to follow your true path, to make bold choices that align with your passions and values, and to pursue your goals without the weight of fear or judgment. When you accept that death is a part of life, you become free to live as the person you truly are, not the person others expect you to be. 20. Strive for progress, not perfection. In the Stoic philosophy, the concept of perfection is viewed as an unattainable ideal that can distract us from the true goal of self-improvement: progress. The pursuit of perfection often leads to frustration and disappointment because it is an ever-moving target, leaving us perpetually unsatisfied. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to focus. In the Stoic philosophy, the concept of perfection is viewed as an unattainable ideal that can distract us from the true goal of self-improvement: progress. The pursuit of perfection often leads to frustration and disappointment because it is an ever-moving target, leaving us perpetually unsatisfied. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to focus on progress, on the continuous growth and development of our character and abilities, rather than striving for a flawless state. Perfection is inherently limiting. When we set our sights on achieving an unattainable level of perfection, we risk losing sight of the broader journey of self-improvement. Perfection creates unrealistic expectations that can trigger feelings of inadequacy when we inevitably fall short. It can make us afraid to take risks or try new things, fearing failure will ruin the perfect image we have of ourselves. In contrast, progress is all about the process, not the outcome. It's about making small improvements each day, learning from our failures, and constantly refining our actions, thoughts, and attitudes. The Stoics were fully aware that no one can live a perfect life. Marcus Aurelius, for example, constantly reminded himself in his meditations that he was not perfect, and that was okay. He wrote about accepting his imperfections and not allowing them to hinder his growth. The Stoics believed that the key to living a good life wasn't about reaching perfection, but about living in alignment with virtue and consistently working to improve ourselves. In fact, striving for perfection can even be counterproductive, leading to paralysis, self-doubt, or burnout. By focusing on progress, you give yourself the freedom to evolve over time, accepting that growth is a journey that involves setbacks, mistakes, and the learning that comes with them. When you shift your focus from perfection to progress, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations. You begin to understand that mistakes are an inevitable and necessary part of growth. Every failure provides an opportunity for reflection and learning. As Epictetus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your mistakes are simply stepping stones on the path to becoming a better version of yourself. Instead of beating yourself up over what went wrong, take the time to analyze the situation and figure out what you can learn. This approach fosters resilience and cultivates a mindset of continuous improvement. Another key aspect of striving for progress rather than perfection is letting go of comparison. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others, whether it's on social media, in our careers, or in our personal lives. But the Stoics taught that comparison is a dangerous trap. Everyone has their own unique circumstances, experiences, and challenges. Comparing yourself to others is like measuring your progress by someone else's yardstick. You may find that you're measuring yourself against someone who is in a different phase of their journey, or someone who has had a completely different set of opportunities. The Stoics believed that each person's path is their own. Your goal should not be to match the achievements of others, but to focus on your own growth, regardless of where others may be on their own path. When you focus on your own progress, you can celebrate your personal milestones and achievements without feeling the pressure to compete with others. The Stoics understood that true fulfillment comes from living in accordance with virtue and constantly striving to become the best version of yourself. By comparing yourself to others, you rob yourself of the joy that comes from making progress in your own unique way. Progress, not perfection, is the true measure of success. Progress requires effort, consistency, and discipline. It's not about taking giant leaps every day. Rather, it's about taking small, consistent steps toward improvement. The Stoics emphasized the importance of daily practice in building virtues such as wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. These virtues are not something you acquire overnight. They are cultivated over time through intentional actions and choices. When you focus on making a little progress every day, whether it's improving your emotional responses, learning something new, or practicing patience, those small steps add up to significant growth over time. Self-discipline is key to making progress. Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus believed that self-control was central to a flourishing life. This means developing the habits and routines that support your goals and consistently dedicating yourself to your personal growth. If you aim for perfection, you might get discouraged by the occasional slip-up. But if you aim for progress, you'll recognize that each day is an opportunity to improve. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to your overall growth. As long as you keep moving forward, you are making progress. One of the great things about focusing on progress is that it allows you to embrace the journey of growth with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Instead of fixating on an ultimate goal or endpoint, you learn to find meaning in the everyday process of becoming better. This mindset shift helps you stay present and engaged with the work you're doing, rather than getting distracted by distant outcomes. It encourages you to approach challenges with a sense of purpose and excitement, knowing that overcoming them will make you stronger and wiser. Moreover, striving for progress rather than perfection helps you avoid burnout. Perfectionism can be exhausting. It demands constant striving, often without allowing for rest or reflection. When you focus on progress, you create a more sustainable approach to growth. You give yourself the space to rest, recalibrate, and reflect without feeling guilty or defeated. This balanced approach helps maintain long-term motivation and prevents the fatigue that often accompanies the unattainable pursuit of perfection. The journey of self-improvement is not about perfection. It's about the consistent, intentional effort to become the best version of yourself. By embracing progress over perfection, you'll find a greater sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in your growth. Celebrate the small wins, learn from the setbacks, and continue to move forward, knowing that every step you take, no matter how small, is an important part of the process. Finally, embracing progress allows you to be more compassionate toward yourself. The Stoics taught the importance of self-compassion, acknowledging that we are all flawed and imperfect beings. By focusing on progress, you recognize that growth takes time, and you give yourself the grace to make mistakes and learn from them. You stop beating yourself up over perceived failures and instead appreciate the steps you've taken to move forward. This compassion fosters a healthier, more productive mindset that enables you to continue pursuing your goals without self-criticism or fear. Now watch this video on why you've hit rock bottom and how to rise from the depths of despair. Thanks for watching, and remember to be stoic always.